What is up, my friends? How are we? It's Friday night. I wasn't supposed to be here, but I wanted to see what you thought about the Denzel Dumfries situation, so I'd jump on and do a bit of a late night agenda. Connor's away at the cinema, everybody else is doing stuff, and like I always tell you, I live a very, very boring life, so I'm always available. So, folks, let's get into it. The poll question is up there right now. Do you believe the Denzel Dumfries links? Now, these have been poo-pooed by Ben Jacobs quickly, but they have come out of Italy, the likes of Di Marzio and others. He does have an injury, so it is a weird one, because, why would we be signing an injured player for an injured player? But then again, he may be back quicker than we believe. I don't know. It was an exciting link for a few minutes until it all started to look a bit questionable. So we're going to try and figure that all out tonight. We're going to ask, is Costas really going to go elsewhere? Are we going to see Georgie Mamardars really go out on loan? Because believe it or not, there's been some links to that. We'll talk about Arna's press conference. We'll talk about Jeremy Jacquet, Omar Marmouche, a few quotes from Florian Wirtz, a little bit on Pep Guardiola's future, and lots more over the next, however long we're on. I've seen this very sad super chat before I started, so I just wanted to quickly bring it up and say, Stanislav said, "Hello Craig, I rarely type, but I'm going through a rough patch currently. My Jack Russell Terrier has liver cancer and the vet said he only has a couple of weeks left. Just wanted to share." I understand the pain, mate. Like I said, a few months ago, we had to put down our own little terrier about a year ago or so, maybe longer. And it hurt more than I was expecting it to. And that's the first time I've ever had to say goodbye to a pet in that way. So totally understand your pain, my man. But we are here for you as always. And we all understand the pain of losing a pet, my man. It's especially when you're having to watch them in suffering like that in pain. So I totally understand where you're coming from and sending you love. Paul Owens, how are we? How are you, mate? Lovely to see you with us again. 4 months as a member as well, Paul. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Right, so I thought there isn't a live stream today. I addressed that in the first 5 seconds of the stream. You're right, there wasn't supposed to be a live stream today, but you never know with me, Anything can happen. I can jump on at any moment, so that's why I always say make sure you've got your notifications turned on. But you weren't wrong. You are indeed correct. There wasn't supposed to be one today, but stories have started to pop up, so, your boy jumps on for a little chat. Dumfries would fit in well as he's injured too. I know. It kind of reminds me of when we were replacing Xabi Alonso and we brought in Alberto Aquilani from Roma, the little prince who was also the little injured prince when we were buying him. So yeah, that's immediately where my mind went when I'd seen the links was to Denzel Dumfries and I found out that he actually had an injury. Again, like I said, I don't see the sense in bringing in another right back when we have two right backs at the club. I know they're injured and that's a pain in the backside, but do understand longer term thinking on this one. So let's wait and see what happens. But for me, I certainly don't think we'll be seeing Denzel Dumfries coming through the door at the AXA. But let me talk you through where the links have come from. Initially came from Di Marzio. An Anfield sector posted, breaking, Liverpool have asked Inter Milan for information about Denzel Dumfries. That goes on to say, Liverpool have made inquiries about Denzel Dumfries. The English club asked for information on the Dutch wing-back following Jeremy Frimpong's injury. Much will depend on the final recovery timeline and, of course, on Inter's ultimate decision. For this reason, as previously reported, Inter have sounded out the name of Norton Cuffy. I don't know who that is, by the way, but so yeah, let us know your thoughts on that one, of course, whether you believe it or not. The irony is, it's another Dutch player, which wasn't lost on me when I did see this report. So, as I said, we do have a lot to get through tonight. I like Liverpool's draw for the Champions League, good chances. Yeah, it kind of depends, doesn't it, really? It could have Juventus, could have Inter Milan. So, it's not going to be an easy pathway through. But the likes of Manchester City, well, they could be facing Real Madrid, I think, if Real Madrid get through their playoff game, which is against Benfica. Amazingly, it's against Benfica. So, yeah, of course, we're into the round of 16, so we can sit back and await the results of those games. Do you think Liverpool will get into the Champions League spot, said Gavin Doyle. Gavin, honestly, mate, at this point, I'm probably 50-50 on it. The next couple of league games, Gavin, I think will have a really big impact on this because, in my head, and I don't know if I'm alone on this, I keep forgetting how deep into the season we actually are. Like, we're 23 league games in now, so yeah, I'm 50-50, but some positive results over the next couple of weeks against Newcastle and Manchester City, Gavin, and I think those chances drastically improve because, like, let's say, just for instance, if we lost to Newcastle tomorrow night, well, they'd be level on points with us. And then you've got other clubs in and around us, Fulham right there with us as well, Manchester United ahead of us, Chelsea ahead of us, and we've got 10 points then to Villa, so I don't know, mate. At this point, I couldn't confidently say yes or no either way, but I know I'm concerned about it, which I didn't think I would be as we started the season. That would have been the one thing I would have thought was a gimme, Champions League qualification. Right, so, bit of a mad one this, and it comes from Santi_J_FM, said Besiktas has reached a full agreement with Costas and Nuno Tavares. The club is expected to choose one of the two within the next 24 to 48 hours. Now, again, I don't know where these stories are popping up. It said a loan offer has been submitted to Liverpool for Georgi Mamardashvili as well. €2 million for 6 months with an option to extend the loan. Now, surely there is no way, no world, no how that Liverpool are stupid enough to even entertain a loan for a backup goalkeeper. That would just be madness. Absolute madness, like, because we know Alisson's picked up some knocks and some injuries in recent seasons, so there's no way that we could be sending out our backup goalkeeper on loan for 6 months. It's mad that we're still seeing links with players away, even though Costas, to be fair, is over at Roma, but yeah, it's more players in that we should be discussing here in the final few days. Thundercats Litterbox said, I think Dumfries might be legit. There's no way Liverpool can be looking at Bradley as a long-term option at right back. He is too injury prone. See, I can't really push back against the longer-term thing for Conor Bradley. But what we do have to remember is Conor Bradley just signed a long-term contract with Liverpool in the summer, a new deal. So he has quite a while to run on that deal, obviously. And again, I don't know internally if Liverpool have made the decision about Bradley or not. Arna has always said that Bradley's biggest hurdle to overcome was, of course, the injuries, and it's just not working out in that way, is it? I love Conor Bradley as a player, love his attitude as well, but like you've said, you know, we can't keep being the nice guys. Sometimes you do have to do what's right longer term, and if we have two fullbacks who are picking up injuries, well, that's not much use to the manager or to any coach, is it? Paddy Wacker, how are you, mate? Never get a night off when you plan it. Nice to see you, as always, Craig. Thanks, Terry. Look at that. This isn't, you know what I said, mate? This never feels like work to me anyway. So to jump on and have a chat with you, it's hardly a chore, you know? It's always a pleasure. And look, sometimes, yeah, I plan a day off, but, you know, I'm still sit there working anyway. I might not be in front of the camera, but, you know, we are doing bits and pieces. And if you're in the Anfield Agenda WhatsApp, you would have seen me give you a little sneak peek at the studio and how far along it is. Showed you a little video and a little still image in there. So if you are in the WhatsApp, you will have seen that. And do let us know your thoughts. Now, of course, it isn't finished yet. There's still lots more decorating to be done. Right, and again, don't forget, we are doing our giveaway with thanks to our friends at the Collector's Corner, where you can win a signed Steven Gerrard frame shirt completely free. All you need to do is scan the QR code below or use the link in the description for further details. And as you can also see in the bottom corner there, if you'd like to treat yourself to something from the Collector's Corner and get 20% off, use our referral code Anfield Agenda 1. Right, let's keep going. So, how are we feeling about tomorrow, folks? You know, it's a huge game. I do love a Saturday night kickoff as well. So I'm looking forward to it. Not really sure what to expect. The preview went out last night, so I hope you had a chance to have a look at it. In the preview, I went for a 3-3 draw as my score prediction. Again, it's hard to know these days which Liverpool's going to show up and how to actually feel. We could win that game. We could lose that game. We could draw that game. I know I'm stating the bleeding obvious here, but that's how unsure I am at these days about how we're going to play. So I thought I'd just sit on the fence a little bit and go with a 3-3. Hoping for another Rio masterclass, said James Morrison. It would be lovely, wouldn't it? It would be almost poetic, mate, if he was to do that again, but score the winner in front of the Kop. That would be incredible. Yeah, it definitely would. Right, so Ben Jacobs, though, has said there is nothing in links for January with Liverpool and Denzel Dumfries. See, it's interesting the choice of words there from Ben Jacobs. Nothing in January. Does that mean there's nothing ever? That Liverpool aren't maybe looking at this as a potential backup on the right side or another option longer term, or there's just no interest whatsoever? Because he didn't say that Liverpool have no interest in Dumfries. He said January. So again, could be just a coincidence, or it could be a specific choice of words there from Mr. Jacobs. Hoarder said, love this channel. Thank you, bro. Appreciate that. That's really kind of you. Right, let's get stuck into a little bit of interesting news, actually. So there was some quotes earlier on coming out of France that said Chelsea want to sign Jeremy Jacquet, and although want to sell him in the summer, the Blues are thinking about making a €60 million bid before Monday's deadline in order to avoid Liverpool taking their defensive target. But as the day went on, Kaveh Solokol of Sky, well, Kaveh is quoted as saying that Jeremy Jacquet only wants to join Chelsea. So immediately my mind went straight there to our friend Sonder in the chat, who was bigging up Jeremy Jacquet. And at least according to Kaveh Solokol of Sky, it looks like Jacquet only wants to go to Chelsea. So anybody out there ready to play centre-back for us next season? Because you might be needed. You might need to get the old boots and shin guards ready. There's not only Hoarder, there's not 74 likes, mate, or 78 likes. There's 194 likes at the minute, bro. 197 there now. Sometimes you just got to refresh, bro. Stephen Landry said, no big players want to play for Slot. There's been a few bits and pieces today, again, kind of floating the theory about him being gone, the manager. Like, at the end of the season, at the latest, like I've said before, I don't know if he does last to the end of the season, but for the here and now, he is the coach. He will be picking the team tomorrow, and let's wait and see what happens. There's a bit on Omar Marmoush I want to talk about in a while as well, but the stat guy put up a post earlier on that said, Joshua Abe, 15 years of age, is taking Liverpool by storm. Born in 2010, already training with the seniors, a left-footed right winger who recently became the youngest ever goal scorer for Liverpool's under-18s at a brace today as well. Lamine Yamal potential. Problem with that is that the young man's been liking a lot of posts with him moving away from Liverpool, and I think is openly an Arsenal fan. So are we going to lose a massive, massive young talent to Arsenal or to another club? Keep an eye on this one. Because, yeah, the whole point of us bringing through the good young players is to develop them and bring them into our first team. So if we're starting to potentially lose some of these guys, that's another concern that we'd have to have. Hope you're well. It's just me. Is the camera quality gone down? It's not gone down. It's Connor was messing around with it yesterday. On a few, you are right. There are some setting changes, so well spotted on that one. But I don't know exactly what he's done, to be honest with you, because we were messing around with a few bits yesterday out in the studio, and then we were messing around with the camera in here. So if the quality's lowered a little bit, my apologies on that. But certainly there is some changes to it. I don't know if it's a quality thing or not, but we'll work through this tomorrow before the watch along. I'll tell you what, the only thing I can do is at the minute is wear black. Because if I don't wear black, it shows up really dark and I can't mess around with the settings because there's something Connor turned off. So, yeah, it's... I'm just trying to get through it. Connor's having a nice relaxed evening at the cinema, as he should have a nice evening off. But yeah, we'll figure it out. I don't know what to say or do or anything about this. Yeah. I don't know what you want me to do or say about that. Okay. Do I have any Liverpool tattoos? Sort of. I've got a liver bird on my leg that's part of another tattoo. Right, let's give you a quote from Florian Wirtz. And Florian said, when I played in school or on the street, I was always in the team with less players because they'd say the other team needs more players to play against me. It was obvious I was very good at playing football. There you go. And what if there was an equal amount, though? What did they do then? Abandon the game, Florian? If there was like 12 and it was 6 each? Jones to Inter. What? The fuck? What? Somebody send me on this. Keane, somebody help. What? There's just been way too many links with Curtis Jones away from the club lately that... At first, I'll be honest with you, at first I thought these links for Jones away was something to do with contract renewal standpoint, or maybe trying to get a better deal. But what? Holy shit. Bobby said, evening Craig and everyone, hope you're well. Not too bad, Bobby, my man, not too bad. Yeah, just conflustered by this stuff about Jones, but I'll bring it to you in 1 second. 1 sec. Do vote away in our poll, by the way. We're asking you to believe the links to Denzel Dumfries. One sec. Let's just get this now. That's nuts. Okay, bear with me. Sorry, folks. I'm just waiting for someone to send this to me because I don't have X. And Connor's at the cinema, as I said. So I'm waiting for Keane or Mark or someone to send it on to me so I can have a little look at it. Or someone can just read out to me what it says and then we can talk about it. No, nobody sent it. Oh, there we go. Mark sent it, I think. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate that. Right, so what have we got here? Inter in direct club-to-club talks with Liverpool for Curtis Jones on a loan deal with an option to buy. Inter and Liverpool are discussing today. Fabrizio Romano. Wow. I mean, I don't know what to say anymore, lads. I've one question. Are we idiots? Truly. Like, are we idiots? What? This is fucking madness. How are we looking at loaning Jones to Inter Milan? Ah, lads. Honest to God, this is getting beyond the joke now. Does anybody feel like we're... I don't care if it's a loan or not. Like, what does it matter if it's a loan or not? It doesn't matter. Like, why are we getting rid of him? Like, I've had a question for you, and I know a lot of you answered yes to my question a moment ago. But sometimes do you feel like we're being trolled by our own club? Like, in this month where we've sat back and watched Mark Gay disappear to Man City, we're sitting here now and we're talking Andy Robertson may be going. We had that conversation. And now we thought that was gone. And now we're sitting here talking about potentially Curtis Bleeding Jones to Inter Milan. Fucking hell. I'm sorry, I'm in shock here. Like, have the dweebs lost their mind at this point? So I want to ask you a poll question in a minute. Remind me to ask you a poll question about the finances. Just because I want to let this poll run a couple of minutes longer. And then I want to come back and ask you a question about the finances because something's starting to smell a little bit fishy here. And I know I probably need a shower, but it's not that. Something just doesn't smell right here. Tipsy Dipsy said, it's clear to see that the players don't want to be part of Slott's project. It would take a lot for Jones to move on from his boyhood club. So, I'll be honest, Tipsy Dipsy, when I start seeing these links for Jones away, to Spurs or anywhere else, I thought it was going to be part of a tactic, a negotiation, for his contract extension. I didn't actually think there might be a world where he moves. But again, I will ask, what is the benefit to us as a club of loaning Curtis Jones to Inter Milan? How does that improve Liverpool's chances to do anything, to win anything, to compete? Holy crap. Stephen Oglesby said, just effing unbelievable. It's nuts, dude. It's absolutely nuts. Holy shit. Nuts of Ollie said, we can't be this naive. We can only hope there is a stroke of genius coming, a part to our summer, maybe. But again, I'm trying to think what the play could be. Like, I don't get it. I don't see an upside to this. I really don't. It just feels astonishing that this is potentially going to happen. Or even being discussed, to be honest with you. Bastoni. So when Curtis Jones was being linked with a move to Spurs, everybody thought it's because we were softening him up to get Van de Ven, and that was obviously nonsense. Now people are trying to say Bastoni. I promise you, it won't make a difference. Inter Milan aren't going to change their position on Bastoni one way or the other because of a potential loan for Curtis Jones or not. If they want to sell or are open to selling Bastoni, they either will or they won't be. The Curtis Jones part just feels like, again, people are reaching. Ben Jacobs already put cold water on the Dumfries links. Right, no lie, Eli. But again, it's a strange situation because the links are coming from Italy initially. They came from, I believe, an Inter fan account or something. Then DiMarzio came in. So it's being pushed by the Italian side. And yes, Ben Jacobs, but what Ben Jacobs said was interesting from a wording perspective. There's nothing in the links for January with Liverpool and Denzel Dumfries. So what if it's something like Jones to Inter and Dumfries to Liverpool as part of a swap for 6 months? Again, I don't know. I'm trying to piece this together on the go here. Like, if there is some truth to the Dumfries thing, could we be looking to send Jones their direction to help them out somehow, maybe with their lack of depth in midfield, and then bring Dumfries in to help us out with our lack of depth on a loan? That's all I can think of. Again, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, because I'm truly astonished at the minute. If he leaves, then it will just be because of Slot. But the mad thing is, though, know your threats, and thank you for being with us as a member for 4 months. The mad thing there is, like, Curtis Jones has openly been on record of saying Slot's improved them. And I can't, like, of all the things I've said about Slot, he has brought Curtis Jones on. Or at least Curtis Jones has been more suited to the style Slot wants him to play. It's brought more out of Curtis Jones. Right, I'm going to end this poll because I need to get to a financial question. How do I phrase this? Right, I'm going to ask a question, and I don't really know how to phrase it, but with these links that we've seen, the selling Andy Robertson link for 3 million quid, the potential move for Curtis Jones away, more talk about a loan for Mamardashvili for a few million quid away. I want to ask, do you think we have a financial problem? Or we're preparing for a potential financial problem? Because something about this feels like a cost generating exercise. Or, a revenue generating exercise. Because I kept asking the other day why we'd need 3 million quid so badly for Andy Robertson. Why were we contemplating that one? Why are we contemplating, or why is there links with us for a 2 million quid loan fee for Georgie Mamardashvili to go somewhere for 6 months? It almost feels like the ground has been laid for a failure to qualify for the Champions League or something. Maybe I'm looking too much into it, but something just feels a little bit off lately around the financial side. Where's the game money gone? Well, the answer to that, Shay, I think, remember, we didn't get the Harvey Elliott money. So, again, it's a coincidence perhaps, but those two numbers were identical. We were spending 35 million on Mark A, but we were expecting 35 million to come in at the end of this season from Aston Villa for Harvey Elliott. Both those deals were done on the last day of the season. And then the Elliott deal obviously wasn't happening, and we never followed through with interest in Mark A. And we wondered why. You know, was it because we wanted him in the summer again on a free? And then we seen the Robbo stuff, and just something just smells wrong about this. And when I say do we have financial problems, I don't mean is the club about to go out of business or anything like that, or do we have FFP issues, because I know that's not the case. But I also can't think of a logical reason for some of these really strange decisions or conversations that the club have been having over the last couple of weeks. It just, I don't get it. Like, you go out and you break the British transfer record twice in one window, and now we're kind of just mad. What's this one? DiMarzio has said Curtis Jones has given the okay to the Inter Milan move and is waiting Liverpool's approval. Holy shit. So DiMarzio saying Jones has given the okay for the Inter move and is awaiting Liverpool's approval. That's concerning. Guy behind LFC News and Panenka LFC is Tommy Robinson fan, just making people aware. I don't know. I don't know either of those accounts, to be honest with you. So you'll have to excuse me. And people often think I'm being rude when I say that. Like, I'm not trying to belittle or on any other accounts. I just don't know the accounts, mate. Yeah, I'm very much a person who just goes about my own work and pays some attention to what's going on in the Liverpool world elsewhere, content-wise, but not a whole lot. And I actually do it intentionally because I don't want to be swayed or pushed in a direction. I want my thoughts to be my own, if you get me. So yeah, I don't mean to be rude, but I've no idea who that account is or any of those. Slot did say he likes working with a smaller squad. Sorry, my head went to a midget joke there. Sorry. My head went to a different place altogether when you said working with a small squad. I just had this vision of a load of little mini-me's running around the pitch. What's wrong with Tommy? We're not getting into that. We're not getting into this conversation, by the way. That's one thing I don't do here on the channel, is talk politics or political beliefs or any of that shit. So yeah, I don't get involved, mate. So I'd appreciate if we don't turn the conversation as well into one about political beliefs or anything like that, because it's not the right place for it. Of course, I have my opinions on a lot of these things, but they are personal opinions that, you know, aren't for sharing on a football episode, or, you know, I know I talk about my life and stuff, but I try to not talk about political beliefs or anything like that, because it tends to divide people, and I don't want to be a divisive person. I want to bring people together. So I'm asking, do you think we have a financial problem? And the reason I'm asking is, I don't know why we're doing some of the things that we're doing or we've been linked with. Like, it just feels weird. At a time where we have an injury crisis, how are we in a position where we're considering loaning out Curtis Jones? Like, Jones can play left, Jones can play middle, Jones can play right back. It just feels very, very strange. And also, that's before we get into the Scouts' heartbeat of the team. Jesus, this is nuts. A little bit of good news, although it's only the start of the recovery, but Arne Slot was speaking a little bit about Isak's recovery, and he said he's not on the pitch yet. He's not expected on the pitch today or tomorrow. It'll take a while before he's back, which we knew about, but he is on that road now to recovery. He is walking and doing a few things like that, so hopefully we can welcome Isak back in the coming months. Top Boy Television said, I think the dressing room is gone. I don't know, man. Look, the dressing room definitely doesn't feel like it's together. All this stuff just feels very strange. Strange is definitely the word I'd use. It just feels really, really odd. Mark said, new studio looking good, Craig. Great show as usual. Thank you, bro. There's a lot to go inside that we're still going to do in there that, I don't want to give away just yet, but I thought I'd give you a little sneak look at how it's coming along as a little thank you for being part of the WhatsApp as well. Jones had a bust up with Slot after the Bournemouth game. That's why he missed the last game and suddenly he wants to leave on loan. So, I did say something after he wasn't in the squad for the last game, and I asked, how sick is he? Because at that point, mate, I had my tinfoil hat on, I was in full conspiracy theorist mode, and I was asking myself, is Jones being left out here intentionally because of that move to Spurs that was still kind of doing the rounds at that time, that Spurs were interested in him even after bringing in Conor Gallagher? I don't know, but look, it's not the most stupid thought process, is it? What we do know is Jones wasn't part of the last matchday squad, right? And now there's links with Jones with a move to Italy. So we know that much. So I don't think your thought process is at least inconceivable. It's just... Again, I'm going to ask, how do our club somehow manage to find new ways to take goodwill and just... It just feels so fucking weird. First, Elliot, now Jones. Slot needs to go, said the Ryan. Jones is going to do a press conference for Inter speaking fluent Italian. Yeah, I doubt it. But look, even just this whole thing sorry, I'm a bit panicky at the minute, so bear with me. I'm trying to work ideas through my head in real time, and there's not a lot going on in there, so bear with me. Okay, here's a question. On the Jones stuff that has been leaked by the likes of DiMarzio, has it been denied yet? Have we seen a James Pearce, David Lynch, Paul Joyce, a Gorst, a Doyle, an Ornstein, anyone deny it yet? Has anybody come out to say there's nothing to it? Because I would imagine if there is nothing to it, quite quickly we'll hear there's nothing to it. And if we don't, would you lose Jones if it meant Morton? I did say before, let me address you correctly. Blake, I did say before, Blake, that I would lose a number 8 or a central midfielder to bring in a 6. In the example we spoke about Alexis McAllister because of his age and his potential to want to go and play in La Liga. So my point was, yes, initially I would be up for losing an 8 to get a 6. And the Jones thing is an interesting one, because if you said to me a year ago I'd be sitting here concerned about the idea of losing Curtis Jones, I'd have laughed at you. But now I'm wondering, is the soul being ripped out of our club? Like, the actual identity? Because one thing really, really, really drew me more to Curtis Jones, and you guys probably know exactly what I'm talking about, it was the moment at Everton, the last game at Goodison, where he stood up. That moment. That was the moment for me that I thought, that's our boy. That's our boy. And to maybe remove that for no upside? Because again, let's think about this. What's the upside in this for Liverpool? It's all very well and good clubs losing or needing players, other clubs, I get that. But what's the upside of this for us? And if the answer to that is there is none, then why are we doing it? Or why is it even being entertained? World of Naturalist said, to lose any player to a sale or loan this window is crazy. Others are strengthening, but we're weakening our squad. Slot needs to go. He's totally destroying our club and squad. Now look, I don't know though, World of Naturalist, if this is a Slot thing, a fallout with a player, or whatever, but we know who makes the final decision, right? We know that Richard Hughes will have the final say on this, him and Edwards. So, whatever we think about Slot, these guys still have the opportunity to squash it. Do you get what I mean? Like, if Slot falls out with someone, Hughes and Edwards still have the chance of going, no, mate, sorry, that ain't happening. Make it better. Figure it out. Because we're not letting a Scouser leave in the middle of the season. So, if they're even entertaining it, I'd love to know what the fuck the thinking is. Because I feel like we're being trolled now by our own club. So, also Romano said, Liverpool and Inter discussed also about Dumfries as a potential right-back option, but no bid or advanced talks yet. Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned now. Honestly, when someone said it in the chat, I was fully expecting it to be shot down in 5 seconds and somebody to go, Lynch, Ornstein, somebody has said no. But like, as the minutes are going by here and I'm not getting sent tweets of somebody denying this or saying there's absolutely nothing to it, to say I'm shocked is an understatement, folks. I did not think when I jumped on here tonight for a little chat we'd be talking about this. This wasn't on my bingo card for the day. Would you do a loan for loan deal? So I can't answer that question because I don't know what the situation is with Frimpong. You know, I don't know how long we're without Jeremy Frimpong for. So if it was a season ender, let's just say, or 8 to 10 weeks, I still don't think I'd do it, you know. I still don't, because Jones knows the league and Liverpool, and Dumfries will be coming back from an injury, so I'd still probably rather stick Jones at right back than go out and bring in a Dumfries who's coming back from an injury and isn't used to the league and would need them. It just doesn't make sense to me. Craig, do you remember he had an argument with Arnott on the touchline? Yeah. No, I totally remember what you're talking about. I have the still image ingrained in my brain. Because at that time I remember thinking it was a tactical thing they were disagreeing on. Wow. I want to just keep reading your comments, folks, because this is the type of show where you need to have your say. So please keep your comments coming in. I'm going to do my best to read through as many of them as I can. We're dressing 2 goalkeepers for most games. What we talking about? Small squad. The 2 goalkeepers thing is a madly annoying thing for me on a personal level. That we're so hard up that we're having to put 2 goalkeepers on the bench. There's been times this season where the away side have had a bigger bench than us in European and league games. Slot's insecure. He wants his players, his squad, and his way. He's filling the club with Dutch players because he's threatened by Kloppo's old squad. I don't know what to say. And again, I don't know who to feel angry at on this one. Because, like I've said, whatever about Slot, the buffer is Hughes. He's the buffer between the ownership group and the dressing room and the manager. So he's the one that's supposed to be snuffing out this shit if there's nothing to it. So this is why I'm worried. I've been trying to link it together. This is why I'm worried. Let's just play out a scenario for a second. If there has been a disagreement, between Jones and Slot, right? If this link to Inter Milan is true, the most worrying part about all of that for me is that the club would rather stick with Slot and get rid of Jones than remove Arna now. That's the part that worries me the most in all of this, is that this would be an indication of them still backing Slot. Because if it's a division between Slot and Jones, and they're backing Slot, that concerns me. Because I think if there has been a disagreement, it's an even bigger show that he's losing the dressing room and that we should be getting rid of him now. The coach, I mean. Well, I'm supposed to believe we're going to win the Champions League and all will be great. This club, man. Uh, 60s Red said Liverpool always back the manager versus the player. I get that. I do. And it's right, by the way. Let me say that. I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's right for a club to back a manager over a player in scenarios. It is. It's the only way to do it unless you want player power to run wild. But like I'm still not believing that they trust in Arna. I just don't. Because if they really do, we are absolutely verhooked. Mark said, you very intelligent and logical. I'm just trying to play out scenarios, mate, in my head. You know, I'm guessing, but I tried to just walk through scenarios and look at 2 or 3 different roads from it and think which one makes more sense or what the thought process could be behind it, because I'm struggling here. I'm struggling here to think of a way that this improves us or how they sell this to the fan base. Like, how do you sit there in a presser now and announce this to the fans? Like, there is no... You either throw Curtis Jones under the bus by saying, well, there was a disagreement with the manager and we decided that Curtis was going to Inter on loan. Because other than that, how the fuck do you justify it? Like, how do you sit there and go, yeah, we want to win stuff, and we have a small squad with injuries, but we're loaning out one of our midfielders? It just, it doesn't make any sense, does it? Robert Clement said, club tight again, compensate Slot, pay for interim new manager, typical backroom thinking. Well, I was trying to figure out, bro, the Robertson stuff. So I said to you guys the other day, are we that hard up for 3 million quid that we needed to take the money for Andy Robertson now? Like, right, so it seems more people don't think we have a financial issue, which thank you again to everyone that took their time to vote on that one. Let me ask you another one then. So, how about this one then? Do you think there was a fallout between Jones and Slot? Because again, I'm just trying to run through all the possible reasons for this. And people don't seem to think there's a financial reason or we're in a financial need. And that's totally fine. So then when I'm trying to move on and, like I said, play out these scenarios in my head. Thank you, mate. Appreciate you. Lovely profile picture as well, by the way, Matt. Thank you. Appreciate you. The Lolly. How are we, bro? Said, last press conference Slot. I want only to play with the same 11 players like in Holland. Unfortunately, I have to swap things around. Really? And only Rio when we need a goal. Wrong attitude. There's been a lot of what he's doing that I've said feels very like he thinks he's still in Holland. Lolly. You know, with regard to the possession thing and wearing teams down. You know, that feels like something that he did in Holland that worked, but ain't going to work over here and isn't working. Saunders said, sorry, checking out. I'm done with the club. Sorry. Mate, you don't ever have to apologise. Don't apologise for feeling down or feeling angry at it, mate. I get it. You know, that's why we have these shows, so we can vent and we can have our say. Can't forget all the Salah stuff this season either. Have to factor all of that in. Robertson Jones feels like Slot has a chip on his shoulder. That's a really, really good point, Top Boy. That's a very good point, mate. Yeah, good show. Craig, who is Jacquet? Jeremy Jacquet. He's a Ron centre-back, or ENNES, Ron. Excuse my pronunciation. But yeah, it looks like he's going to Chelsea. At least Cave Solokol said Jeremy Jacquet only wants to join Chelsea, despite the reports linking us with him as well. The Ryan said he continuing to play the same players is one of the reasons we lost Newcastle in the final. Tired legs, no rotation. Yep. I'm with you on that. And then he gets to cry about injuries. It's this, like, the thing about Slot that's annoying me is he's finding a narrative to suit the problem all the time. And it's never on him. It's either low block teams are bad, or the wind is windy, or why can't everybody play the way I want us to play? As you said, and as Top Boy said a minute ago, you know, we fell out with Salah. Now we've got a situation we're trying to figure out what the hell's going out with Jones. The Andy Robertson thing a few days ago as well. The whole thing just feels like we're trying desperately to fail. And like our club doesn't want any positive PR at the minute or any positivity in the fan base whatsoever. It feels like we're being kicked in the balls over and over again. So when something semi-decent happens, we feel gratitude for it. Mark Harding said, the worrying thing is Hughes and Edwards need Slot because he's their man. If goes, Slot straight in there with plan B. If result goes his way, Slot straight in there with plan D. I can't even figure this one out, Mark. I just, at the moment, bro, I'm not going to lie to you, I want to punch the screen. I'm sitting here with a clenched fist, I'm not even joking. That's how riled up I am. Hughes, Edwards and Slot ruining this club, said Sonder. Crazy. Craig, what is happening? They're ruining the club. Said why hammer? I don't know, mate. I don't know what's happening. But nobody seems to by the looks of it. Hey Craig, hope you're good. What's your thoughts on Newcastle game tomorrow? Fear. Fear are my thoughts, mate. Because let's play out what's happening tonight. So we are here, a group of Liverpool fans, having a conversation about Curtis Jones potentially leaving the club on loan. After we had a conversation about Robertson potentially leaving. And all of this on the eve of a game. What do you think that's going to do for the atmosphere inside Anfield? Truly. Because I know, again, people often think I exaggerate stuff. But this is only going to make it more toxic. This is only going to make people more frustrated. And if the result does not go in the right direction, he won't have to debate whether he hears boos the next time. At this moment in time, all it feels like is he and Hughes and Edwards are trying to fucking rile us up at every opportunity. Because it just seems like one stupid or one very difficult decision after another to try to justify. Just joined. What's the context behind the Jones poll question? Yeah, no worries, man. It is that Inter are in direct club-to-club talks with Liverpool for Curtis Jones on loan with a buy option clause. Inter and Liverpool are discussing it today. From Romano. That's the context, mate. That Liverpool are in conversations about loaning Curtis Jones with an option to buy to Inter. So we're asking, do you think there's been a fallout between the two of them or something? Because if there has, I know the club publicly have to back the manager in these situations, and I totally do agree with that, unless you're going to fire his ass. So they've just now alienated, if even by entertaining this fucking deal, they're going to alienate Scousers even more. Who are going to think and go, well, the one link we did have there, because you've let the other one dance his way over to Madrid, and the other Scouser that we did have there, they're now seemingly allowed to go on loan to Inter when we're in an injury crisis. And we've no right backs. And we've seen Jones play in that position before. Like, I just don't understand this. We're trying to destroy Klopp's foundations, said Tipsy Dipsy. But even from a PR perspective, everything that's gone on this month has just been negative, just rolling negative news, one negative into another. It doesn't make sense in any way. And all of this to back what? A failing head coach? Oh, fucking hell. I don't get it. Like, this isn't a manager at the top of his game. Like, if Kloppo was making these decisions, right? We might not like it, but we'd go, it's Kloppo. He's got the final word. There's a reason behind it. He's earned that right. We might disagree, but like I said, we think, all right, there's a reason for this. I don't understand. I just don't understand. Simple as, sorry, that should be the title. I just don't understand, because that's all I keep coming back to. Jones, Kwanzaa, Elliott, Morton, all being sold. At this point, Slot stays next season because Hughes Edwards won't admit they were wrong. Miss Klopp. Don't forget a couple of others as well in there. Other young ones that were moved on. Bobby Clark. It just truly is astounding to me that our club's headed in this direction. It's like, oh, well, we had a good result midweek, so let's fuck everything up again. Let's get rid of that goodwill nice and quickly, because we can't have people being happy for a few minutes. Let's get rid of all that goodwill nice and quickly. I want to read you out something on Pep Guardiola, by the way, which is going to make you even more concerned, but bear with me. So Martin Ziegler of The Times wrote a piece about Guardiola, and part of the piece is this. There's a growing conviction among Premier League managers that this will be Pep Guardiola's final season at Manchester City, even though his contract runs to 2027. Guardiola's future is understood to be a burning topic of conversation among many managers and coaches, with one at a leading club having told his executives last week that he's sure the 55-year-old who arrived at City in 2016 will leave at the end of the season. That would be a year before his contract expires, but no doubt the revelation that Enzo Maresca told Chelsea he'd spoken to City on 3 occasions earlier this season about replacing Guardiola has added to the belief that the Catalan will call it a day. So, why aren't we doing everything that we can to build ourselves up? Because if Guardiola's maybe going to leave Man City, that's a huge thing. Because he's a huge attraction for players to that club. If he's going to leave them, we should be looking to be at the very best that we can be, to try to capitalise on that, or any instability there. But no, we're again out here bargain binning it and monitoring to within an inch of our lives. It's just madness. The bust up with VVD and Jones towards Slot, being vocal over tactics and efforts. Robbo, Mac, Salah have all had bust ups with Slot already. Dumfries is injured too, by the way. What's going on? I know, mate. I know, yeah. I know he's injured. He was expected to be out until about March time, but there was talk he might be back quicker. But either way, right, like I said, the Dumfries thing, you've still got him to get used to the Premier League, get back up to fitness. It just doesn't make sense. Totally Not Wellington said, simple question, what is going on? I can't be arsed. Dude, simple answer, I really don't know, but I'm scared. I'll openly admit, I'm absolutely scared. Paddy Wacker said, Craig, surely FSD aren't so stupid to watch Hughes and Edwards destroy their investment money. Something smells fishy about behind the scenes. Simon said, if Jones goes, what will that do to the homegrown quota? What happens to squad places for the Champions League? Who replaces him on that squad list? All more than fair questions, Simon. And again, look, let me try to simplify this as best as I can. If I asked Liverpool fans coming into this transfer window, so if we sat together here on the 1st of January and I said to you, by the end of this window, do Liverpool need to lose players or bring players in? I would dare say we'd all say bring players in. But somehow, here we are, and we're going the opposite direction. He'd go to the Spanish national team. If you know anything about Pep Guardiola, you'd know that the likelihood of him managing the Spanish national team is probably zero. Because he identifies as Catalan and wants Catalan independence. I just don't believe he'd be a Spanish national team manager. I could be wrong on it, but I'd be very, very, very surprised if that was the case. JCC04F said this club is doomed. This kind of negligence doesn't come about easily. FSG have given up. FSG raising funds to buy an NFL team, the Holy Grail. Look, they're selling the Pittsburgh Penguins, or they've sold them. I'm not sure if that's gone through yet or not. I don't really keep tabs on it, but they were up for sale apparently already. On a serious note, we need players to cover injuries, and we choose a player who's injured. When we hear it, we tried, or no options in the market. The no options in the market excuse went out the window when Mark A made his way to Manchester City. That was the end of them being able to say there were no options in the market defensively. But what worries me more than that, mate, is what's happened since that. Is that not only do we not act for Mark A, we actively seen talks for Costas to come back in and Robbo to go for 3 million quid. Then I started the stream earlier on with a couple of mad links that were doing the rounds that I laughed off, but I'm going to reintroduce to you right now. So LFC Transfer Room, credit them for the post. They said at Santi_J_FM, and this is a quote, Besiktas has reached full agreement with Costas and Nuno Tavares. The club is expected to choose one of the two within the next 24 to 48 hours. On top of that, goes on to say, a loan offer has been submitted to Liverpool for Georgi Mamardashvili. €2 million for 6 months with an option to extend the loan. I've not seen anything since that, by the way, but for a club to even consider that they could come in and try to sign our backup goalkeeper halfway through a season when our keepers had some injuries and even think it's possible or aren't immediately met with no, these things are, it's becoming worrying. It's just becoming worrying. Simple as that. I think we'll know if this is true after Newcastle. Body language after the game will be telling. If he goes, that's the biggest mistake of them all. Like I said, Adam, if they think that this isn't going to seep into Anfield tomorrow night, they're mad. Because the first thing I asked people when I was sent the stuff about Curtis Jones to Inter Milan, we digested it for a minute or two, and then I immediately asked the chat, has anybody come in to rubbish this? Has an Ornstein, a Lynch, a Doyle, a Pearce, anyone that covers Liverpool, have they come out to say there's absolutely nothing to this? Because if they haven't, I'm fucking concerned. Because how do we think this makes sense? We're short of players, so let's shorten it a bit more. Jones to be loaned to Inter, are we actually mad? And it's not just a loan, by the way. The conversation was a potential loan to buy. A loan with an option to buy. But even at that, why are we interested? Like, why would we even entertain it? Any chance of Gakpo for Elise? That'd be my dream. Well, they have been linked with Cody Gakpo, and we have been linked with Michael Elise, but apart from that, I don't know what to say. Somebody told me a few months back in a conversation about Elise that his preference, now again, don't take it as fact, just it was a casual conversation, that his preference was a move to Spain if he departs the Bundesliga. But again, don't take that as gospel. I actually think the sporting directors want to keep poking the bear. They really want us to see the reaction from the fans because eventually they're going to get one. That's what it feels like. It feels like they're absolutely right now just poking the bear and trying to see what they can get away with or how far they can push it. Because it's going to get toxic. It's going to get very fucking toxic very quickly. Watch. Because this is a sign something's not right. The simple as that. If there's any truth to this whatsoever, this is really alarming. Paddy Wacker said the only person who should be out the door is the manager. Are Liverpool thinking the manager is more important than the whole dressing room? See, I don't believe that Liverpool for 1 second are backing the manager. Like I said, my own information is he's gone in the summer, come what may. But even at that, if they really wanted to back him, and if they really wanted to believe in him, and if they really wanted to show the world that they believed in Arne Slot, give him a new contract. Right? If you back him, like all the friendly journalists are saying that you are, and you believe in him that much, give him a new deal then. You won't, because you don't. But, you know, you can keep lying to the fans and briefing the journalists with bullshit. But fans aren't stupid. David Massa, how are you, mate? Said evening, Craig, bro, and community. As a Scouser who supported this club for 49 years, our club is becoming a shit show. Kick a Clip said, if they're doing this, I feel sad for Slot also. Why? Because if they're doing this, it's probably because there's been a disagreement between them two. This, to me, would be just another case of get rid of the coach, get rid of the coach, get rid of the coach. Because it feels like, from the outside, and we have to say from the outside, because I'm not in that dressing room, you're not in that dressing room. It feels like there's a split in the dressing room, and some people just can't be bothered with Arne, or don't want to listen to him, or can't put up with him. And the club are still digging their heels in, at least in the short term. Despite the evidence to the contrary, despite fan opinion on it, despite everything pointing to get rid of Arne, here we are. So, you know the way everybody tells us about the Liverpool way? Is this the Liverpool way? Moving a Scouser mid-season out of the club. So again, all the Liverpool way merchants that like to use it as an excuse for every stupid decision we make. Is this the Liverpool way? Weakening yourselves again? Or even... The fact that this hasn't been shot down in 2 minutes is what's worried me. Fully expected it to be an avalanche of, nah, there's nothing to that. That's nonsense. Don't know where that's come from. But again, seemingly there isn't. And I don't think that every journalist must be out having a pint on a Friday night that they've all missed the story. World of Naturalist said, we're not in the dressing room, but there's no smoke without fire. Something doesn't feel right. Sonder said, Jones would die for this club. Arne, he's a twat. Look, again, we have to wait and see, but there's just so many things in my head that are... Remember what I keep saying to you guys about small things? And in their own, you can make an argument that each one of these things isn't enough for a reaction. But it feels like every time I come on here, every time we talk, there's another thing about the manager that's a small thing. So the other day I said, did anybody see that Arne not only didn't celebrate, but showed zero emotion after Chiesa scored against Karabakh? And somebody said, well, it was the 6th goal, Craig, you know. And that person may have well had a point. But like I keep saying to you, it feels like all these things, if you pile them on top of each other, are more than enough to get rid of him or to see that he's the problem. James Smith said, how can we go from having a nearly perfect summer transfer window, bar missing out on Gay, to having 2 fit senior centre-backs, no right-back currently, looking at getting rid of a left-back and a midfielder? What the fuck is going on? I don't know. Like I said, we've somehow managed to find a way to take a really positive, upbeat situation where the whole fan base was buzzing, all pulling in the same direction, all so excited for the season ahead. And now we're here with things getting weirder and worse every single week. And more excuses being made for the reason for that. And the reason for that is Arna. But more and more excuses just keep getting made to cover this clown's tracks. Craig, just wondering, do you know why stories by politicians here in Ireland are leaked intentionally to float something? Because this channel speaks truth. Is this just to get our tails up? I don't know, mate. All politicians in every country leak stuff. But I just don't understand how we're here. Sorry, James. I'm just absolutely astonished we're here. Mark just sent me a quote from Curtis Jones. I want to be captain of the team and I want to stay here for my whole life. Gerrard's who I look up to. From the boots that I wear to how he's conducted himself. And this was a month ago. 1 month ago. I'm lost. Yeah, I'm absolutely lost. Sorry. I'm I'm in total shock here. There's an account on YouTube at 1.2 million subs welcoming Jones to Inter. Look, I don't know, mate. But again, we haven't heard it denied. So we asked, do you think there was a fallout between Jones and Slot? We'll leave that one running for a little bit longer. Sky Sports News just confirmed Jones talks has happened. Jesus Christ, that's mental. Right, for a bit of good news anyway, don't forget about our giveaway, folks. If you'd like to win a signed Stephen Gerrard frame shirt completely free, scan the QR code below or use the link in the description for further details. And if you'd like to get yourself 20% off as well, if you do find something on the Collector's Corner you'd like to treat yourself to, a reminder you can get that 20% off using our code Anfield Agenda 1. Mark Gibbon said, the silence is deafening from this club. It is, mate. Like, tonight alone, I've seen so many people come in and go, I'm done. I've had enough. And it just feels like they're intentionally trying to break us down somehow. I don't get this. This is not the actions of a club, a harmonious club moving in the right direction. Letting our only English first team player go, embarrassing, said Marlon LFC. What is going on from thinking we dominate on all fronts to sixth out of the Carabao Cup, selling the only player fans can relate to, absolute joke. Yeah, and again trying to convince us that everything's great. Like I said, I'm coming on here every week trying to be honest about how bad things are at our club and how all of this nonsense about the manager being backed and all that stuff is just bollocks of the highest order because it doesn't make sense to what we're seeing with our own eyes. Once again, I'm going to say the same thing. You need to do your bit. You need to have your say. You need to be vocal. You need to be outspoken. You need to be active if you're on social media as much as you can. And you need to make sure that the club know that this is a fucking joke. That they are looking at us like we're a laughing stock now on the outside. Sonder said the two data nerds who think they're some holy figures and an incompetent coach, they're the nobodies we're lucky to work with a special club like Liverpool. Done. I'm both sad and angry at this point. Just sad and angry. Yep, come in. Sorry, my daughter came in there. I had to speak to her for a second. Craig, at this point, he shouldn't be sacked alone. He and the two clowns should go with him. Circa, don't go. How's the family? A bit stressed at the moment, mate. At this particular second, there's a bit of drama in the house, but I'm trying to sort it out. As always, Sabrina's disappeared when this happens. It's like they all wait till I start work to call it all drama. Maybe they're trying to make the Anfield crowd disgruntled, so discontent is so loud that they can pull the trigger on fire and slot. But they don't need to do that, Chris. They just fire him. Like, this feels the other way. This feels like everybody behind the scenes is sticking two fingers up at the fans and going, yeah, fuck you. Like I said, it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get more toxic. It's only going to get louder. And the dweebs are only going to be chased out because this isn't joined up thinking. This isn't a club thinking about success. This is either people so unwilling to admit a mistake that they're going to continue to go on and on with this charade that this manager, coach, whatever you want to call him, is good enough. It's an absolute fucking disgrace. So, Moby Hake has said, Forest have agreed to deal in principle, Inter to sign for Tacey. This means Curtis Jones' transfer will now move. Think we should sell Curtis, too slow on the ball. Good man. And I'm supposed to believe that from somebody with a messy profile picked that you're a Liverpool fan. Good. But it's an idiotic thought process, mate. Selling anybody in the midst of an injury crisis is just the height of stupidity. But then again, our club seems to, yeah, I bet you Connor's going to be delighted when he gets out of the cinema and sees all this shit. Everybody really picks their times, I swear to God, to abandon ship. There's I'm so lucky that I'm the most antisocial human being in the world, that I'm always around. Because, yeah, I couldn't imagine sitting there today now and not jumping on to do a stream with this Jones news breaking. But the irony is, when I decided to stream, the Jones news hadn't even come out. Do you think there's a fallout between Jones and Slot? 73% of people said yes, 27% say. So do you know what? Do you know what's going to come next? Do you want me to tell you what's going to come next? So here's the next move here. There will be a story linking us to somebody huge in the summer. That's what's going to come next. Watch. This is the dweebs move. Everybody's angry and annoyed, so put out something potentially brilliant for the future. That probably won't happen, but will maybe quieten discontent now. Watch. I guarantee you in the next 24 to 48 hours you will see a big story linking Liverpool with a move for some insane player down the line. But it won't be now. It'll be a promise of the future. That's the playbook we've seen over the years so many times. On Jones' birthday also, you see what Sky Sports said. I haven't seen the Sky Sports thing. Let me open it up and have a quick look while we're on. The app open here. Sec. Yeah, Sky are reporting that they want Jones, definitely. They said Sky in Italy are reporting it. They also say Sky Sports understands that letting players go is not on Liverpool's agenda before the deadline. Right. So, if Sky Sports News understands that letting Jones go, or anybody go, isn't in Liverpool's plan, why isn't there a million journalists out there now saying, no, this isn't happening? Or why isn't Curtis Jones gone onto social media to say there's no truth to this? Because one Sky says this, another Sky says this. It's like they cover their arses both sides of it. Sky Italy say that there's talks for Jones to go to Inter. Sky England say Liverpool saying there's nothing to it. So which one is it? Which one of your stories are bullshit from your company? Which one is it? This club falls apart every day, a little more. VVD, Mo, Curtis, Ali and Robbo all finish with Arna, I guess. They don't want Arna. Thomas, thank you as well, mate. Appreciate you. Craig, we're building towards another big summer. These lot are the clowns who are going to undo all of Klopp's work in a single season. Yep. I don't know anymore. I'll tell you one thing though, I've never felt as fucking unmotivated for a Liverpool match. I just, yeah. Truly just feel sad. So we're not going to sign anyone to cover ourselves from the injuries, but letting players leave the club screams their pains at that idea. F them all. It's an embarrassment. We need a right back and a centre back now. To James Smith. Well, James, we watched the centre back stroll to Manchester City. We didn't bring in a DM in the summer. We're still short of a centre back now. We've no right backs. The manager can't play our centre forward for 90 minutes. He's falling out with half the attackers. Jesus. This doesn't make any sense. How the fuck is this making? I just feel really frustrated. Rumoured to be looking at Pavard 6-month loan deal. Pure profit, Craig. Data boys creaming their pants. Jeez. Just Edwin said it's BS. Well, if it's BS, then Romano needs to be absolutely fucking rinsed if it's BS. Yeah. If it's BS, then Romano's come out with some absolute whoppers over the last week or two than if it's BS. But like I said, I've not seen the denials by anybody yet, or not been told of the denials by the Ornsteins, the Pierces, the Joyces, the Lynches, the Doyles, the Gorsts, whomever. Ironhead 4060 said 460 said, just woke up. What did I miss? Not far from 400k. Congrats. Cheers. Yeah, it certainly doesn't feel like a celebratory evening anyway. Baffled by what's going on tonight. So there I was last summer thinking that FSG had finally got the message when they spent all that money, but old habits die hard. FSG's cheapness is Liverpool's weakness. Did anybody else, by the way, while Chris is talking about that, has anybody else noticed how far out of his way Arne Slot's gone to talk about this club and money recently? About the money we brought in from the sales, about having to do things in a certain way, not being able to go out and sign 12 centre forwards. Been a lot of talk about money lately. So you wonder, are the Dweeb squad in his ear saying, well, we need to recoup some money or something? Because again, all these little things might be small, but when you add them all up, like again, the coincidence, we wanted to sign Mark A for 35 million and we agreed to sell Harvey Elliott for 35 million, and the same day the Harvey Elliott deal falls apart because Villa don't want to buy him, and then the player we wanted becomes available and we watch him go elsewhere. And then there's the talk about Andy Robertson and a potential 3 million quid for him to go to Spurs. Like, are we that hard up that we need 3 million quid? Alan Sutton said, if it's true, where's Joyce on this subject? Well, let me flip the question to you, Alan. If it isn't true, where's Joyce on the subject? I mean, I'd love to hear from the Everton fan on this one. Or maybe the Arsenal fan can give us an opinion on it. Itachi said, we have to sell Curtis to Inter Milan because of low blocks and PSG last season. And remember 2 years ago, Atalanta in the Europa League. Yeah, and we've only won 2 league titles in 35 years, you know. So he's insulting the club and the fans, and now falling out with the players. And then rumours are that Slot and Jones had a massive bust up last week, and to be honest, this would not shock me if true. So let's say that is true, Glenn, right? And again, we don't know for certain, but let's say it is. Why are we backing the idiot? Why are we backing Slot? That's going to be gone anyway. So we're letting a guy that nobody has belief in fuck up the squad morale and force players to want to move. Like, this is supposed to be good news, even if it is like any scenario around this Jones situation. If there's any truth to it, it's just a huge, huge problem. Even if it doesn't happen, if it was talked about, it's a huge, huge problem. Because none of this paints a harmonious picture. Damon said, Craig, how do you move on a player that's helped us with multiple league titles, Champions League, FA and League Cups, not a manager that's clearly in a free fall? I don't know, bro. I really do not know. It seems like an open and shut decision. Man, look, what do we know about Arne? We know that Salah felt compelled to come out and have something to say, right? So we know that happened this season. We've seen with our own eyes his treatment of Chiesa. We've seen that he didn't even celebrate when Casey scored the other day or have any emotion. We've seen rumours of busts up with players, Jones being the latest one. We've seen Allison and others ignore him, directing them to put the ball out of play in a game where the ball was in play for 6 minutes and we were down to 10, which we then conceded in. There's been so many things to suggest the dressing room isn't happy. And what do the two fucking dweebs do? Continue to back the problem. The guy causing the issue because he's their guy. Because he's their little puppet. Continue to back the problem. It's like one of your mates that's going out with a girl that is toxic as fuck, or a girl that's going out with a lad that's toxic as fuck. And it causes divisions in the friend group and everybody splinters off and separates. But the person keeps in the relationship until that relationship falls apart and they realise what everybody else has seen for a long time. That this person was a problem. Sorry, I just want to ban somebody from the chat. 1 second. This gobshite is doing my head in. So just let me just remove him. Cool. Sorry. Just had to remove something. Sonder, or sorry, it's not Sonder, Itachi said, how is Slot still the manager? Lost the crucial players, lost the fans. What on earth this clown on the bench playing football with no identity? Don't forget he was off modelling the old PEC's Volla kit as well. So he's a trainee mascot as well now, Arna. You know, you're going to see him running out as the mascot for PEC's Volla soon. In between his little mid-season trips to Dubai, in the midst of a 3-game losing streak. But, you know, he's the guy. Theory. Slot only wants pragmatic players who don't show or use emotion. Wirtz, Isak, VVD, Cody, etc. Remove players with any passion. Diaz, Nunes, Elliott, Jones, Robertson. Just robots like himself. It's an interesting one. I'll definitely give you that. I don't know though. But again, like I keep saying to myself, why do you continue to back the problem? Like, the problem is the coach. The problem can't be 6, 7, 8 different players. It's the coach. The problem is the coach. Remove the coach. Get rid of Arne. It's going to happen eventually. We all know it's going to happen. Because you can lie and brief the friendly media as much as you want that you back him. But if you backed him, where's his contract extension? You don't back him. This just feels again like hubris, that these two fucking dweebs want to just not admit they made a mistake. Admit it. Because you're fucking up the club and you're destroying the fan base's morale. For what? Again, the lads that don't have to face the media and hide in the shadows. How do you think Anfield's going to be tomorrow night now? How do you think the atmosphere is going to be for this big Newcastle game? Do you think everyone's going to be going in there buzzing and excited and full of happiness? Liverpool are not in talks to sign Guevara Reid because he's injured, but they are informed on the player, said Romano. Denzel Dumfries is expected to be out for a few weeks, could be around 10 to 15 days. Liverpool got that information, and my understanding, Liverpool could potentially consider this possibility on a loan deal, and Inter don't want that, so there's nothing to it at the moment, said Fabrizio Romano. So that's on the Dumfries thing. So Romano said nothing on Reid, nothing on Dumfries at the moment. You moaned about Slot with a smirk on his face and called him a fucking disgrace 2-0 at Goodison in his last derby. You're looking for every little thing. I'm confused by that one, mate. And you're a moderator somehow? Well, that's about to change. Yeah, you could fuck off. If you feel like I'm looking for every little thing, I don't have to look too much because there's been a lot of little things. And here's the one thing: we're sixth. So I don't know about you, but looking at sixth place in the league table doesn't make me happy. And again, I don't think I'm looking for every little thing. When did I imagine the fallout with Salah? Have I imagined we're in sixth place? Did I imagine Jones and him having a disagreement on the sideline? Have I imagined Alisson ignores instructions not to put the ball out? Or to put the ball out, excuse me? Have I imagined him saying that we got knocked out of the Europa League 2 seasons ago by Atalanta as a way to belittle his own club that he's coaching? Have I imagined that he said we've won 2 league titles in 35 years when it suited him and 5 years when he had the league title in his hand? Have I imagined all that? Or do you want me to keep going? Have I imagined the 3-goal defeats back to back to back and then a loss to United at home? Have I imagined that? Have I imagined him going off to Dubai on a little jolly up? Have I imagined him talking absolute shit, one press conference after another, one game after another? Did I imagine him saying there was a good thing we lost to PSG in the last round of the Champions League because it meant we had a week between games, even though we needed 7 points from 30 and we were 15 points clear? Did I imagine that, motherfucker? No, I did not. So all I have been is right. And that's not my problem. I'm right. I have been right. I will be right. I'm right. That's it. Simple as. Just because it takes a bit longer for it to get round and some other people to go, oh, or it needs to get a bit worse, doesn't mean I'm wrong. I'm right. I know I'm right. I'm 100% certain I'm right. And that's what I can think of off the top of my head, by the way. If I actually went down, because I have a list of every game. Someone said you're getting rage baited too easily. It was a moderator, bro. A moderator. That's what has me annoyed. A moderator was doing it. That's what annoyed me, bro. Not the fact that it was just somebody in the chat. It was a moderator. And also, I'll openly admit to you, my man, I'm definitely emotional tonight. Certainly, like, there's no way I'm going to deny that I'm not sitting here at the minute pretty wound up. Like, I'll be the first one to admit that to you. Romano said, Chelsea are pushing hard for Jeremy Jacquet, but Liverpool remain firmly in the picture. The situation's still open. Chelsea want him now, while Rons only want the summer sale, not January. But again, I got to say that Cave Solokol of Sky said that he only wants Chelsea. Let me just read this one out to you so we can get back on the Jacquet thing. Yeah, Cave Solokol of Sky says Jeremy Jacquet only wants to join Chelsea. So, again, these are links of potential hypotheticals in the future. But what we're dealing with right now is a potential outgoing, which makes no sense. Hotspur Lane posted to say Pep Guardiola has reluctantly granted the request of Omar Marmoush to leave Manchester City for more game time, with Spurs and Villa the most interested parties. Rolfie said the problem seemingly is the old players, you know, the players that have won it before. It's like you have standards, you're gone. Craig, I miss Harvey a lot. Would Jabby use him properly? I could, mate. I would be guessing. I don't have a clue. I miss him as well. I was a fan of Elliot, but I understood the move because the whole idea of the move was to get Harvey game time. So I did understand the move because look, if there was an honest conversation with the coach and the coach said you're not going to be in my plans, and it's a World Cup year, and he wants to try and get into Thomas Tuchel's thinking, I always understood the move. But even that didn't work out. So again, the brain trust, the geniuses, the dweeb squad, whatever you want to call them, these are the ones that sorted out this loan, which has gone so badly for Harvey Elliott. So again, it's just more failures from the people who aren't accountable to anybody because they hide in the shadows. Tommy Duncan, how are you, mate? Said not Jones' biggest fan, but letting him go, it's objectively stupid. It's mind-boggling that the people paid a lot of money to make these decisions are making such obvious mistakes, i.e. there's something we're all missing. Or excuse me, is there something we're all missing? I asked that earlier on, Tommy. I asked it from the perspective financially and asked, do you think maybe there's a financial concern or something? But again, what you've said with regards to is there something we're all missing? It's certainly something that I'm sitting here trying to rack my own brain figuring out. Because it doesn't feel like joined up thinking at the minute. This high-risk gamble to see if Slot can take us to a final and win is madness. Benitez was 45 minutes away from losing a final, and he's not. And we not, then Everton were sitting fourth. That season ended. I don't get. Like I said as well, my calculations would be that that's too big of a risk to bet on Arna winning the Champions League, if that is the play here. But I guess at this point, all I can do as a fan is just sit here and react to what actually happens. But again, I'm going to keep saying the same thing. If these guys are supposed to believe in Slot as much as they claim to, why is there no talk to extend his deal? And I think the answer is self-explanatory, because they know he's going to fail and is failing. And I guess the question would be, what would look worse on Hughes and Edwards? Sacking him now or allowing us to miss out? Because I tell you what, if I'm the owners and I lose out on Champions League money because of your risk assessment going tits up, well, guess whose head's going to roll next? It ain't going to be the players. It's going to be the two boys that have overseen the manager failing, watched them fail, kept watching them fail, kept leaking that you were backing them, while player after player fell out with him or was pushed aside by him, ignored by him, miscoached by him, played out of position by him. Just do the decent thing. Save the morale of a fan base and the fucking season. Did Curtis Jones have a dust up with Slot? Maybe. Saunders said Slot is a social experiment to see how far fans back him. It feels like we're being taunted, mate. That's what it feels like right now. Is we're being taunted, tested. But what I don't understand is, again, simple thing. August, buzzing, delighted, excited, optimistic. January, here we are. All maybe arguing with each other, worst case scenario, but certainly frustrated, right? All of us. Like, I don't know a Liverpool fan at the moment who thinks this is all going swimmingly, or that it's just about to get better. I'm very intrigued now to see what the atmosphere tomorrow is like. And still, anything from any of the local journals denying this move or denying the interest in this move? Because remember, there was no denying that they were looking at the Andy Robertson thing. Then the outspoken fan backlash came, and all of a sudden that deal was being either kept on the hush-hush or was jibbed off. Now it seems like it's Jones, and now we're waiting to see what happens. But every single one of them is just, again, decisions that will divide a fan base, annoy a fan base, and certainly not going to... Like, how do you tell Liverpool fans losing a player in the middle of an injury crisis is a good thing? And that player being a Scouse player, that player being a homegrown player, and that player being one who said that they live and breathe for the football club. But all of a sudden, he was sick last week. So remember what I said before, ladies and gentlemen. Please, if you take one thing from tonight's stream, remember this. I told you before, and I've said it many times, football clubs will lie to your face and smile. Don't ever forget that. They will lie to your face and smile because they have to. What they say publicly and what gets done is very, very different so many times. They all profess to have morals until it hits their bottom line. Then the excuses are made for the lack of morals because there's a financial upside to it. So Curtis Jones was sick, and now all of a sudden there's talk of him going to Inter Milan. Coincidence? Federico Chiesa was left away from the Liverpool travelling squad, but all of a sudden had a niggle, according to Pierce, in the summer. But yet other players with niggles still went to Hong Kong and Japan. Again? Coincidence? Like I keep saying, football, all these people that come out and say, Craig, the club said this, every football club will lie to your fucking face because they're all self-serving. Everyone knows what to say and what PR company to hire and all the things to test well and all the things that they are supposed to do. But underneath it all, there are self-serving decisions, and there always will be. So again, remember, you cannot take anything a football club says as 100% gospel. You simply just cannot do it. Sack Hughes, appoint Klopp in his position. Klopp's not going to want to come back. And the problem with that for me would be, like, let's say you brought in, I don't know, Alonso, right? Just as an argument's sake. So you've got Xabi Alonso as the head coach, and then you've got Jurgen as the sporting director. If things don't start going well and results go poorly, what's the first thing everyone's going to clamour for? Klopp to become the coach again. It's almost like just a looming presence that would overshadow the head coach. And again, it just wouldn't be the sensible play for me. Would I like it? Jesus, yes. I'd take Klopp back in any role at the club. But at least with Jurgen, whether we agreed or disagreed with something, and I didn't like everything Jurgen said, and there was certainly some stuff with regards to transfers that I really was wound up by him, but I knew he cared. I knew he gave a shit. Curtis was sick of Slot, said Itachi. Even the other day, mate, I'm sure I read, let me see if I can find it. I'm sure I read a comment on Curtis Jones not 2 days ago. 1 second. I want to just go back through my notes. Don't seem to have it in my notes. There was a comment a couple of days ago that he was touch and go, whether it be through the illness in time for the weekend. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, good man, Carl. You keep believing that, bro. You're going to have to try harder, though. I can spot a baiting comment a mile away. Simple as that, Carl. So you're going to have to try harder. I missed my super chat. Of course I did, David. You know I always miss your super chats, David. Oh, I swear, you must think I hate you, David, at this point. It's almost genuinely. You'd think I was trying to do it, mate, but I'm not. Let me find it for you, David. 1 second. Craig, how's you? I live here in Italy. Joan's story is all over Sky Italia. I'm fuming. I do know you live in Italy, David. So yeah, you certainly have a good perspective on that from the Italian side, as I'm aware you do live over there, my man. Yeah, like I said, it's so funny because I sent Connor a message at about 10 to 9, and the message just says Jones to Inter on WhatsApp. Now, I know he hasn't seen it yet because he's in the cinema and it hasn't gone blue, but I can only imagine when he comes out of the cinema, looks at his phone and sees that they've sent him that, and then searches to see that there's actually some truth to it. His head's going to explode as well. That meme guy said, Craig, I wonder what's happening with Gravenberch and Szoboszlai contracts because they've been very quiet. Real Madrid want a midfielder, and I'm sure Szoboszlai's probably up there for them. So I said this to you guys the other day about the contract extensions. How do you sit there as a club right now to talk to Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, Maka, Kanade, and anybody else that you're in a contract negotiation with? You can't exactly sit there and negotiate the high wage knowing that you might not have the Champions League football that you probably thought was a given. So it makes the contract negotiations even more difficult because the player's expectation of a wage won't be able to be matched if it doesn't look like the club are going to be in the Champions League. And nobody's going to want less money. So this is why I keep saying, every day that goes by that they've kept Arnott in charge and it gets a little bit worse is a day closer to it becoming unfixable for the season. Every game that goes by that we drop points in the league is another day closer to not being salvageable to get into the top 5, to get into the Champions League. And that's before we get to the point of that in itself is a piss take, because that wasn't the ambition of this football club, to scrape into a Champions League. No part of me, none, zero, think that we're going to win the Champions League with Arne Slot as head coach. None. It's getting worse. The morale is getting lower. Our club's becoming a laughing stock. And the warning signs are really start ringing for me after we didn't sign Mark Gay. That, and I said it at the time, gave me big concerns. Because there's no logical reason for it apart from money. Because you were saying up until a day or two before you still wanted to get him in the summer. So you still wanted him as your player. And you were going to have to pay him big bucks as a free transfer in wages and the signing on fee. But when it actually came to it, like Lenny Yoro, remember the Lenny Yoro situation? Where we were briefed and told by everyone that the only reason that Liverpool weren't making a move was because that Lenny Yoro wanted to go to Real Madrid. And that if Real Madrid backed away from the Lenny Yoro deal, that Liverpool will be right there to act. What happened? Real Madrid decided that it was too much money, and then Liverpool suddenly had a coincidental similar thought process and he goes to Manchester United. Again, I didn't make that up. That happened. Abe Madrid visit, City bid from Trent B agent. Well, we did say earlier on that story, there was a story from, or not a story, a post from, what was this account? From That's That Guy that said Joshua Abe, 15, is taking Liverpool by storm. Born in 2010, already training with the seniors, left-footed right winger who recently became the youngest ever scorer for Liverpool's under-18s and a brace today as well. Lamine Yamal potential. Only problem is that young man's liking posts linking him with moves away. So even at that, the young, talented players for the future seemingly looking for ways out now as well. Again, might be another small thing, but all these small things don't paint a picture of a very happy environment. David said, I said 3 weeks into the season, I don't have any faith in Hughes and Edwards, and I still don't. I'm really worried about our club. PLG agency. Oh, so he's with Tyler Alexander-Arnold. That Liverpool actually, I believe, helped to become an agent, if I'm not mistaken. If I am on that, I apologise, but I'm sure I read that or seen that somewhere. Yeah, Robert, try harder. Right, let's bring up Robert's comment and see who agrees. No, you deleted it. Robert said my content's become toxic and, what was it? Toxic and depressing. Here's the funny thing, Robert. My content's based off what's happening at our football club. So if my content's become toxic and depressing, why do you think that might be? Might it be because it is toxic and depressing at the minute? And then you went on to say that real Liverpool supporters, well, you'll have to excuse me if the 371,126 people that tune in and watch our channel aren't real Liverpool supporters. You know, we always have top reds like yourself, though, to teach us the ways. Thank you, Yoda, for all of your help and the wise ways of Liverpool. And how is that going for you, by the way? You happy at the minute? Loving it, 6th place in the league. Sitting there with a mad hard on. What's this about Curtis Jones? So there's a story doing the rounds from Romano and some other credible sources to say that he's in talks with Inter Milan about a loan with an option to buy. Let me just give you the exact post so I'm not misquoting anybody. 1 second. Sorry, 1 sec. For some reason, something on WhatsApp isn't working for me, so I'm going to have to go to my phone to read this out to you, mate. 1 second. Right, sorry. I had to go onto my phone because it wasn't working on the desktop version. So it came initially from Romano, I think. Romano or DiMarzio, but this one's from Romano. And it says, the Anfield Bulls posted to say, Inter are in direct club-to-club talks with Liverpool for Curtis Jones on loan with an option to buy clause. Inter and Liverpool are discussing today. And that was according to Romano. So that's where it all's come from. And now here we are having this discussion at 10:30 on a Friday evening, the night before we play Newcastle in a big league game, which we need 3 points in. This was the same Curtis Jones that was ill, apparently, for the last game and wasn't able to be in the matchday squad, but now is coincidentally being linked with a move away. It's almost as if someone's full of shit somewhere. What about Dumfries? That one, it seems, that isn't going to happen either, mate. He's 10 to 15 days away from being fit. And again, Romano is apparently saying that him and Guevara Reed right now aren't really options either. Would I be one for the points? I wouldn't, mate. No, I'm not a drinker. No, I'm not against drink. I'd have an occasional drink. But no, I wouldn't be a regular drinker. I'm more of a herbal infusionist, to be honest with you. That would be my way to kick back and relax. I'm still anxious. I know Connor's movie's over 10:30, so I'm looking forward to seeing those 2 little ticks go blue and then him to message me going, what? Can you stay in a bit longer today? Yeah, I'm going to stay on till 11 if that's okay with everybody. I'm going to say until 11 because Connor's going to probably pop in and... I'm not into the chat, sorry, but yeah, I'll be on till 11. Sorry. If that's okay. If people want me to stay until 11, I'll stay until 11. Craig, is Wilson Cox a reliable source? I don't know. I don't know, mate. And look, I know the account you're speaking about. It's an X account, but I'm not on X. I get sent stuff from X, and our social media team does, send me a few posts and a few bits. But because I'm not on there and I'm not seeing every post from an account or who they're interacting with, I can't get a read on the account, so I don't know is the honest answer. I always err on the side of being respectful and saying I just don't know, unless I categorically know something that to say XY account is bullshit. I don't know with that one. I don't know. If we get a new right back, what about Bradley? Again, if we got a new right back, and again, it's a big if, you'd have to imagine, and again, I'm hypothesizing, that there would be a conversation somewhere that said that they don't think that he's going to be able to stay injury-free long enough. Now, to be fair to Arna, that has always been a concern of his. But also, in the summer, when Trent was moving on, he signed a new contract and the club put out that they believe in Bradley. They believe Bradley's the future. So, but I totally do understand. Like, I'm a huge Conor Bradley fan, but I'd be the first person to say, look, I totally do get a concern about the injuries, of course, because he has had a lot, and that's coming from somebody who's a huge Conor Bradley fan. So much so that we bought the painting of Conor Bradley. That's going to be hanging up in the office, like, so. But yeah, we really do like Conor Bradley here at Anfield Agenda, but I do understand if the club can't rely on a player that they may have to look elsewhere going forward. I get it. It'll be a reluctant thing, but I get it. What's the point of the summer and now this? I don't know, bro. I don't know, Maddie. I really don't know, mate, but I know. Yeah, I know I feel sad about it. Sander said, Joy said no sale before window closes. A loan isn't a sale, though. So, again, is that leaving wiggle room for a loan? Or, again, like I said, I don't know. Liverpool will not sanction the departure of any senior players before the transfer window closes after Inter Milan showed interest in a loan move for Curtis Jones. Claude said, your trouble, Craig, is to react purely on emotion rather than logical thinking. That's not my problem, that's yours. And I don't react purely on logical thinking or purely on emotion. I'm a very deep thinking person, but again, you're only in to try to bait me, so I don't mind what you think. But my problem isn't anything. I'm great. My life's great. I'm sitting here on a Friday night, 10:30 with 2,500 people here to have a chat with. So I don't really have a problem. But yourself, could we say the same? Because all you're doing is coming in to try to belittle other people, whereas, I don't know you from Adam, and I'm sure I've never had a conversation with you before either. So to make such a leaping judgment about me, let me ask you this. Do you think I must have some kind of logical thinking to grow a company from nothing to this? Do you think I might have some realm of sensibility in me somewhere, or intelligence maybe, to be still sitting here? So I'll worry about me, but thanks for your concern. Is there a chance Forest getting the Inter midfielder could be a move for Anderson this month? Don't know. Don't know. All honesty, I don't know. If it's true about Jones staying, then that's because Good Club's getting really worried. But again, here's what I would ask. Why have the two stories come out over the last week that were linking Liverpool players with moves away? Why is that? Why has that even happened? Do I drive? I do indeed, mate. Yes. We all know Slot will eventually get the sack. It's baffling why FSG let things go on as is. I don't understand, but again, right now, we're hardly heading into tomorrow night all skipping and jumping and buzzing. It's been another frustrating transfer window that's seen our squad get more depleted with injuries and absolutely no appetite to deepen it or to fix the problem. Alonso won't be no good. He was sacked by Real Madrid. Thank God you're not in charge of the thinking. I can't. You're either really stupid or you're just trying to bait me. So I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and just think that you're stupid. Because anybody that knows anything about Real Madrid at the minute can see what a clown show they are. Full stop. And Alonso ain't there now. It's player power that's the problem at Madrid. And that's their problem. Like I said, Arbeloa's hardly doing really well there, is he, since Alonso's gone? Things haven't improved, so it ain't Alonso that was the problem. It's the club itself and the player power at Madrid that's a huge problem. We'll win tomorrow, so stop worrying too much. 100%. Good man, Ricardo. I hope you're right. I hope you're right, mate, because big games. It's a big game tomorrow night. So let's wait and see. And I hope you are right, sincerely. I really do. I'd love to be sitting here tomorrow night having put in a good performance and beaten Newcastle. That would make me very happy. So yeah, let's wait and see. Rolfie said the two dweebs are linking players out, so we'll be grateful for no sales at the end of the window. Hoping that we don't or won't strengthen. Hoping we forget that we don't strengthen. Joyce just said Curtis isn't going. Cool. So the Everton fan has told us Curtis isn't going. Good stuff. Why was it even a conversation though? And again, I can point to stuff he's gotten wrong as well. But again, like the one thing I would say is we've ended this transfer window again in a frustrating manner from a fan base perspective. In the last week, we've had conversations about a potential Andy Robertson move to Spurs. Then we had the conversation about maybe bringing Costas back, and then that was said, no, that's not going to happen. Then there was the talk about Curtis Jones, and he was ill last week, and then it was a falling out, and now there's talk about him wanting the move as well. Because let's not forget there were posts tonight saying that Curtis Jones wanted the move. So even if Mr. Joyce is correct, nobody said that Curtis Jones didn't want to move? That hasn't been written yet, has it? So it's one thing the club may be saying, okay, you can't go. But he didn't say the Curtis is happy and didn't want to go. Hey Craig, I've just heard that Jones and Slot have had a big fallout. What's going on? I don't know about the fallout, Angie. I don't have information directly on that. So I don't know, mate, is the honest answer. But when I started the stream tonight, we weren't talking about Curtis Jones. Like, that wasn't part of tonight's agenda when we were doing the stream. The story popped up early in the stream, and then we kind of just went from there. And, you know, there's been a lot of stuff. Romano and DiMarzio have been very questionable about over the last week or two, in my humble opinion. Just came in, what's happening with Curtis Jones? Well, hopefully nothing. Hopefully nothing, but Romano and others have said that there were talks with Inter. Why will that not work? Sorry, I'm going to have to go back into another part of my phone to get you some quotes. Gone back earlier. Sorry, gone back through some. Right, so Romano said initially, Inter are in direct club-to-club talks with Liverpool for Curtis Jones on a loan deal with an option to buy. Inter and Liverpool are discussing today. That was Romano's post. Now, genuinely, if Liverpool are intent on not letting anybody go, that wouldn't have even been a conversation, right? Inter would have inquired, Liverpool would have said no. But Romano said that they are talking today. So talking means that you're entertaining the conversation. Because if it gets to the talking point, it's gotten past the inquiry point. So either he's full of it, and again, it wouldn't be the first time, or there is a problem with Joyce, or excuse me, with Slot and Jones, and I don't know. But again, as this gentleman here, Liam, said, Salah spoke out, Robbo nearly left, Curtis wants out, Canade's not signing, press conferences, stupid, boring football, and the biggest one of all, he's no connection to the city or the fans. Time's up. Don't forget the insulting us. You know, it was only 2 years ago that this club, not our club or we or whatever, maybe he did say we, maybe I'm wrong, but either way he said, it was only 2 years ago the club went out to Atalanta in the Europa League. And it was 2 league titles in 35 years. But when he won the league title and he was standing there with the trophy, it was 2 and 5. And it was very important that we knew that. And now the outside noise is how the fans are being described. Outside noise. You know, we're the outside noise. Technically saying no is talking. That's where we're at, Greg, is it? That's the contribution to the chat. The smart alecky technically saying no is talking. No, being in talks and saying no is a response. Talks is a conversation. You saying, can we have Curtis Jones, and me saying no, that's a response. A conversation goes deeper than that. But, you know, we can all be smart asses. Our biggest issue we face is our bloody owners. They need to leave. I kind of softened on the owners this summer with the spending because I was very grateful for it. You know, I've been calling for it for a long time and we got it this summer, but what's happened afterwards has just been so far removed from what we'd hoped for in the season. You know, none of us hoped we'd be sitting here 6th in the league and out of the League Cup. Can't really complain about the Champions League, to be fair. You know, on its own, that's been a fairly not stress-free, but we came 3rd in the league format and, you know, we did our job there. But even in that, there was a couple of questionable results, you know, losing 1-0 away at Galatasaray. And then the one that is almost beyond comprehension to me is that I'm sitting here again about to say that Liverpool lost at Anfield 4-1 to PSV Eindhoven and were played off the park that night. And they didn't even make the knockout stages of the Champions League. And they were beaten 3-0 at Newcastle. And then we were beaten 3-0 by Palace. And then we were beaten 3-0 again. Then we lost 2-1 to Manchester United at Anfield. Yeah. Maybe it's for when we have to offload him to make room for Wharton. You don't have to offload a homegrown player to make room for another homegrown player. Now, financially, that's a different conversation, maybe. But you don't do it in the middle of the season. You don't contemplate it in the middle of the season. You don't even enter into the conversation in the middle of the season. It's the same with Robertson a few days ago. Like, whatever that conversation was, or however that even came about as an idea, the fact that it got to the point where it was even being discussed beyond no, it again just is nuts. Harvey is not a Liverpool player when on paper he is 1000%. Oh, that was another one, yeah. But yet we had no clause that we could call Harvey back, but yet we were willing to ring up Roma to see about getting Costas back, but there was no clause in that deal either. It's just yeah, I don't know, lads. I feel pretty concerned at the minute, but it's going to be an interesting 24 hours because tomorrow's a big game, and I hope everyone's ready from a playing personnel side because Newcastle are going to come wanting to prove a point. We know that. You know, they don't like us very much for obvious reasons. We had a late win up at St James's Park. They're only 3 points behind us, so if you're Eddie Howe, you're going to be in the dressing room saying to them, look, if you go out tonight and win this game, you're up there with Liverpool, you're level, you're in the Champions League hunt. If you don't win this game and you lose, you're 6 points behind them and falling further away from being able to qualify for the Champions League again. So the team talk for him is going to be easy tomorrow, and we know that they're going to come and have a go. They're coming off the back of a 2-0 defeat themselves against Aston Villa at St James's Park, and then they had a credible 1-1 draw midweek against Paris Saint-Germain, which really didn't help either of them. Yeah. So tomorrow, fingers crossed. One of the worst things Slot has done is block a pathway into the team for academy players such as Neoni. Keep up the great work, mate. Thank you, Flying Welshman, for being with us as a member for 20 months as well, bro. Appreciate that. He hasn't really progressed any youngster since he's come in, to be honest. Even the whole idea and the concept of we don't want to block the pathway for Rio, so we're not signing a replacement for Luis Diaz, in itself just feels weird. Because I get it in theory, but in logic, in a season, you're leaving yourself one short. Because, like, ideally, let's be frank, Rio probably isn't ready to play every week. So he probably needs another season or two developing. At least probably one. So, again, why would you not go out there and bring in another option for competition? You can't block the pathway and then wait a whole year without enough options out there because it's going to cost you. Same way not bringing in a centre-back is going to cost you, but now it's gotten worse. Now we've no right-backs. Just, yeah. Esther said, I'll be glad when this transfer window closes. Same. But I'll be even more glad, Esther, and I'm not even going to lie about it. I'll be even more relieved and glad when Slot gets fired. Because again, I'll take you back to quotes from him himself. Let me just get the quote so I can read it out to you. It's going to be really difficult to quiet the outside noise with the position we're in. Even if we win a few games, every loss, the noise will come back. It's impossible to shut down the noise at a club like this if you're not competing to win the league. That was Arne Slot's comment. Again, this is not going to be a popular opinion, what I will tell you now. Maybe the reason we won the league last season is because we played Paris Saint-Germain. We had a week to prepare for league games. And then he tried to backtrack that and say it was a language barrier. How that could be a language barrier. And then he tried to say the word maybe. And by saying maybe, it implies that there's a possibility he could have been right. There's absolutely no possibility he could have been right because we were 15 points clear at that point and we only needed 7 points from an available 30. So going out of the Champions League to Paris Saint-Germain did absolutely nothing to help us win the league. Nothing. All it did was raise questions about how you finish top and then go out in the very first round of a knockout game. Then he went and lost the League Cup final to Newcastle, where we were out-thought, out-fought, outworked, and we looked exhausted. This season, we've had many conversations about lots of players looking tired or being unfit or unable to complete a full 90. Varying degrees of reasoning behind whether they're a new player in like Hugo or Wirtz, or whether they're a player like McAllister who's still working his way back to full fitness. Loads of little things again that just don't paint the picture of a very happy camp. Gerrard called him out on it too. Yeah, exactly. Jacko Venter said, it feels like Slot is mentally checked out. A lot of fans I know are not mentally checking out, but certainly aren't as emotionally invested as perhaps they would want to be because they don't feel as connected at the minute. George Kirwan, how are you, George? Said, I've tried to stay positive with Slot, but once you lose the dressing room, it's time to go. I would agree with you, George, and I think the dressing room, at the very least, has a few in it that aren't really on the manager's or head coach's side. Look, I'm going to say goodnight, everybody, because it's been a 2 hours, 23-minute stream so far, and we've got to kind of figure out a few bits and pieces around the whole situation to see what we can bring you tomorrow and what we'll know and won't know. So keep an eye out tomorrow at some point. There'll be a news video most likely, and the watch along then for the Newcastle game will start at 6:45, where fingers crossed we get 3 points. If you haven't already entered, don't forget, you can win a signed Steven Gerrard frame shirt completely free. Scan the QR code below or use the link in the description for further details. And if you'd like to get yourself 20% off anything in the collector's corner as well, you can do so with the code Anfield Agenda 1 at checkout. Right, folks, much love. We'll see you tomorrow. Fingers crossed for no bad news.